Some of the coffees on this list have less than 5 calories. Others have more calories than a slice of cake. Same coffee shop. Same coffee bean. And I'm willing to bet you can't guess which is which. Today we're breaking down 8 coffees you've probably ordered 100 times without thinking twice. Espresso, Americano, Cappuccino, Latte, Macchiato, Cold Brew, Flat White, and Frappuccino. Where they actually came from, how they're actually made, and the calorie count that's about to change how you order tomorrow. Here's the rule. For every single one, you guess the calories before I tell you. Let's start with the one drink everything else on this list is secretly built on top of. Espresso. Strip away the milk, the syrup, the whipped cream from literally everything on this list, and this is what's left underneath. So let's get the origin story right. 1884. Turin, Italy. A man named Angelo Moriondo patents the first steam-powered coffee machine. Only problem, it brewed one giant batch at a time, not single cups. Then in 1901, a Milanese inventor named Luigi Bezzera figures out how to force pressurized water through coffee to pull one fast shot at a time. That's literally where the name comes from. Espresso means pressed out, or express. Decades later, a man named Achille Gaggia added a spring-loaded piston that cranked the pressure up high enough to create that golden foam on top, the crema, and espresso as we know it was basically finished. How it's actually made: finely ground coffee, packed down tight, about 9 bars of pressure forcing hot water through it in under 30 seconds. 1 to 2 ounces of pure, concentrated coffee. That's the whole drink. Okay. Guess time. 1 shot of espresso, black, no milk, no sugar. How many calories? 3. You could drink 10 shots back to back and still eat fewer calories than a single Oreo. Every other drink on this list? It's just espresso, plus decisions. Speaking of decisions, the Americano. The name sounds American. The drink is completely Italian. Here's the story everyone tells. World War II, American soldiers stationed in Italy get handed a shot of espresso and immediately regret it. Way too strong compared to the drip coffee they were used to back home. So Italian baristas start topping espresso off with hot water to water it down, and the name Caffè Americano, American coffee, sticks around the world. Quick honesty check. Some coffee historians actually push back on that story and think the term might trace back to an older, unrelated slang word for weak coffee. Nobody's fully settled it. But the World War II story is the one everyone tells, and it's the one that stuck. How it's made: 1 or 2 shots of espresso, topped with hot water. Usually about 1 part espresso to 3 or 4 parts water. Your turn. Black Americano. Calories: around 10 to 15. You're basically drinking espresso with extra steps and better manners. Cappuccino. You've said this word 1,000 times. Did you know it's named after monks? There's a Catholic order called the Capuchin Friars, famous for their brown, hooded robes. Back in 18th century Vienna, there was a coffee drink called a Cappuccino, coffee with just enough cream to turn the exact same shade of brown. The name and the concept traveled south into Italy, and once espresso machines got steam wands attached, the modern cappuccino was born. Espresso, steamed milk, and a thick cap of foam. Real Italy fact: order a cappuccino after 11 a.m. over there and you will get side-eyed by the barista. It's a breakfast drink. Full stop. And depending where you are, you'll get it dusted with cocoa powder in parts of Europe, or cinnamon in the US. Same drink, different final touch. How it's made: espresso, steamed milk, and foam, ideally in roughly equal thirds. Guess time. Regular cappuccino, whole milk. Calories: around 120 to 130. Basically a banana, in coffee form. Café latte. The latte. Statistically the most ordered coffee drink on the entire planet. People had been mixing coffee and milk in Europe for centuries, but the big, milky latte you're picturing right now is an American invention. One popular story: a cafe owner in Berkeley, California, named Lino Mayorin, kept getting customers complaining that cappuccinos and macchiatos were too small. So around 1959, he just added way more milk and called it a café latte. Then Seattle takes over in the 1980s and turns it into a full-blown movement. That's also literally where latte art was invented, foam hearts and all. Here's a fact that ends arguments. Go to Italy and order a latte, and you will get handed a glass of warm milk. Just milk. Zero coffee. You have to say, café latte, specifically, or the barista assumes you want milk. How it's made: 1 or 2 shots of espresso, drowned in steamed milk, topped with just a thin layer of foam. Way milkier than a cappuccino. Alright, guess. Standard latte, whole milk. Calories: around 190 to 200. Basically the same as a candy bar, you're just drinking it through a lid instead of unwrapping it. Macchiato. Macchiato. And if the only one you've ever had came from a drive-thru, I need you to sit down for this. In Italian, macchiato literally means stained or marked. Baristas used to mark a plain shot of espresso with just a tiny dollop of foam, basically a signal that said, this one's got a little milk in it. That's it. That's the entire concept. In Australia they even took it further. Order a long macchiato, and you'll get a double shot with the glass mostly empty, just a splash of milk on top. Pretty much the exact opposite of a latte. How it's actually made, traditionally: 1 shot of espresso, 1 teaspoon of foamed milk on top. That's the whole recipe. So, can you guess? Traditional Italian macchiato. Calories: about 15 to 20 calories. Practically nothing. But if you've ordered a caramel macchiato from a big coffee chain, I have to tell you, that's not really the same drink anymore. It's vanilla syrup, steamed milk, espresso, and caramel drizzle, built completely differently. A regular-sized one of those? Guess again, about 250. Same name on the menu. Way more than 10 times the calories. At that point it's not really coffee, it's dessert wearing a coffee costume. Cold brew. Cold brew feels like a drink that got invented in like 2015. It's actually pushing 400 years old. The earliest record traces back to Kyoto, Japan, in the 1600s, sometimes called Kyoto-style slow-drip coffee. One theory is that the Japanese picked up the technique from Dutch traders, who needed a way to make coffee on long ship voyages without lighting an open flame. It stayed a slow, niche method for centuries. Then American coffee shops rediscovered it, and it exploded in the 2000s and 2010s. That's also where nitro cold brew comes from, the same drink, infused with nitrogen gas and poured from a tap, which is why it looks and pours like a pint of Guinness. How it's made: coarsely ground coffee, steeped in cold or room temperature water for 12 to 24 hours. No heat, at any point. That slow soak is what makes it naturally smoother and way less acidic than regular iced coffee. Guess time. Black cold brew, nothing added. Calories: around 2 to 5. It's basically flavored water, except it can actually pack more caffeine than a regular hot coffee, because of that long steep time. Flat white. The flat white has caused an actual international argument that is still going on right now. Australia's claim: a cafe owner named Alan Preston put flat white on his menu in Sydney in 1985, end of story. New Zealand's claim: a barista named Fraser McInnes accidentally made a cappuccino where the milk wouldn't foam properly in Wellington in 1989, and instead of remaking it, he just called it what it was: a flat white. Nobody's ever fully settled this. Starbucks once credited only Australia in an official press release, and reports say that did not go down well in New Zealand at all. How it's made: a double shot of espresso with steamed milk and just a thin layer of silky microfoam. Stronger than a latte, less foamy than a cappuccino. Because it packs a double shot into a smaller cup than a latte, it's often the strongest tasting milk drink on the whole menu. Flat white, whole milk. Calories: around 140 to 160. Right in between a cappuccino and a latte, which tracks, because that's basically where it sits on the menu too. Frappuccino. Last one. And I need you to sit down again, because Starbucks did not invent the Frappuccino. Summer of 1992, a small coffee shop called the Coffee Connection in Cambridge, Massachusetts, blends up an iced coffee drink and names it Frappuccino, mashing up frappe, a New England word for milkshake, with cappuccino. College students go insane for it. Starbucks starts testing something similar around the same time. Legend even says saxophonist Kenny G, a friend of Starbucks CEO back then, helped push the idea along. In 1994, Starbucks simply buys out the Coffee Connection, and with it, the trademarked name. Starbucks even used to advertise that there were over 87,000 possible Frappuccino combinations you could order. The Frappuccino you're drinking today isn't even the original recipe. How it's made: coffee, or a coffee-free base, blended with ice, milk, and flavored syrup, usually finished with whipped cream on top. Last guess of the video. Classic-sized caramel Frappuccino, whole milk, whipped cream. Calories, around 370 to 380. And that's actually one of the lower ones on the menu. Some of the specialty, limited edition Frappuccinos cross 500 calories. In 1 cup. With a straw, so let's zoom out for a second. Espresso, 3 calories. Frappuccino, pushing 400. Same coffee bean, same coffee plant, same starting point. And the only thing that changed the number that much is what got added on top after the espresso was already in the cup. That's the real twist of this whole video. It was never really about the coffee. It's about the milk, the syrup, the whipped cream, the decisions you make next. Next time you're in line with a friend, make them guess before they order. So, comment which calorie count actually shocked you the most. And tell me which one of these 8 you're ordering tomorrow, because after this, I don't believe for a second it's the same thing you always get. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. See you in the next one.